Whether you love primaries or not, it's important to understand what they do. One of the key purposes of a primary is to allow the two main parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, choose their nominees for office. Those choices help determine who represents each party at the state level, helping ensure that Jackson County has a seat at the table where programs are created and funding is directed. And in many places like ours, the primary is often where the direction, the tone sets for the county. Because fewer people vote in the primaries than all seasons, each vote carries more weight. Voting is how each of us has a say in what comes next. Tonight gives us all a chance to hear directly from the people. Our candidates tonight are Jonathan Goodwin, and to determine speaking order. And we'll begin in that order and rotate throughout the evening so each candidate has an equal opportunity to go first. Next, I'd like to introduce you our moderator for the evening, Ms. Ava Stafford. Area of Jackson County, where she has a strong appreciation for community that led her to become actively involved throughout high school in her 4-H program. And through 4-H, especially in public. This year, I was honored to earn she was honored for first place in the region for public speaking work and was able to attend Tennessee State's 4-H Congress. As a senior, she's excited to take the next step in her journey by attending Tennessee Tech this fall, where she plans to major in agricultural communications. She looks forward to continuing to build her skills, stay involved in her community, and make a positive impact through agriculture and communication. Please join me in welcoming Ava Stafford.
Thank you, David, for that wonderful introduction. Now we will start by each candidate drawing a number, and we will continue in that order for the rest of the debate. So I'll come around. All right, now if everyone can have a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may want to adjust those microphones so they're going to be able to speak clearly. Sorry about that big old stand burn.
All right. All right, now before we begin, I'm going to go ahead and go over a little bit of an overview before we get started. So each candidate will have 3 minutes for opening statements. Each question will allow 90 seconds to respond, followed by 30 seconds of rebuttal. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing statements. And Ms. Natasha will be keeping time. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see, who has number 1? All right, Mr. Bryan.
I'll stand up if that's all right for this. First, I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening, taking interest in our county, and I know it means so much to all of us, and regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, we all want what's best for Jackson County. So I just want to thank everybody for coming up and coming out. So my name is Brian. Am I good? You're good. My name is Brian Lee, and I'm running for county mayor in the Republican primary. I'm a lifelong resident resident of Jackson County. I was born and raised in the Dawson Branch community. Thankful to have my family here with me tonight, my mom and wife and daughter, and lots of other friends and family. Glad they were able to make it out with us tonight. And like I said, born and raised in Jackson County, graduated from Jackson County High School in 1996. Yes, that's 30 years ago next month, and time flies. But so a little bit about why I want to be mayor. I have been a teacher for the past 24 years in Jackson County Schools, administrator for 6 of those, where I've oversaw approximately 40, 45 employees on a daily basis. And I've also been a county commissioner for the past 10 years. I was appointed to fill a leave from a death, and after that ran for re-election, and just this will be in August, the end of the 10th year. Through that time, I've wanted to serve my community, and that's why I want to run again. I want to take the success that I've had at Dawson Branch School and expand that out to our whole county, and bring some positive things to our county, lead in a positive way, and just do the best that I can. I promise to work hard if I'm elected, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
All right, next candidate.
My name is Jim Morgan. I'm serving as the mayor currently in Jackson County. I was appointed in February of 25 after Randy passed. My background is in EMS. I've been a TMT and a paramedic for over 30 years in the state of Texas. Currently a licensed paramedic in the state of Tennessee. Okay. I wasn't born in Tennessee. I was born in Florida. My dad worked in Michigan in the auto industry. When they closed his plant, he was back. And I've been a resident of New Hope for 52 years. I've been a department head in EMS, director for over 25 years, both in Jackson County and North. I've worked with budgets. I've been on the county commission for 10 years before I was appointed mayor. I've been on the budget committee for just for 5 years, for 10 years on the budget committee. That's kind of my background. Thank you.
All right, our next candidate.
I'm going to stand up. I'm not sure that's going to do much good. Thank you all for being here. It is so great to see the democratic process happen right here in Jackson County. I cannot thank you all enough that are here in the room, and those of you who are watching or will get to watch this video later. My name is Aurora Wells, and I'm your Democratic candidate for Jackson County Mayor for 2026. And I have been asked, why in the world did you run as a Democrat? And I want to tell you a little bit about that as I introduce myself. I grew up here as a child. My mother came here when I was 4 years old. We went back to Southwest Florida when I was 11. In those growing years, that old adage that you learn everything you need to know in kindergarten is definitely true. And I'm so grateful to have gone to public school here in Jackson County. I learned everything I needed to know about my moral due north, about what's important about community, about what it means to volunteer. And I could not wait to get back here after I'd spent my life and my career in Southwest Florida. There I served as the financial director for many different nonprofit organizations, from small ones up to large ones. In that capacity, I saw a lot of change. I got to manage a lot of really difficult projects, and they all turned out pretty good. And I feel very equipped to that I've had in my life. I want to give a little bit of history because I think it's an important lesson. When people think about Democrats, they think about different things. For me, it's defined as the elders among us who affected our economy in the 1950s and 60s when people with middle class incomes were soaring. Their incomes were supporting them in a way that was not possible today. Then in the 70s and 80s, the economy was kind of stagnant. And for those of you who were in high school at that time, your parents were probably working like crazy, but there was enough to go around. You might not go on vacation all the time, but it was doable. And then in the 90s, NAFTA came along, which was pushed through Congress by Republicans. NAFTA was the North American Free Trade Agreement. And from there, we've seen our personal economy come down. What I'm here to tell you is that Democrats, to me, mean the representation of protection and prosperity. That's why I've run as a Democrat, and that's why I've come back here to Jackson County and represent you as well. Thank you.
All right, our final candidate.
Good evening. You're good. Okay, I'm good. Good one. Okay. My name is Jonathan Goodwin, and I'm honored to be here tonight. And have a respectful debate on the issues that we face. As someone who has deep roots here in Jackson County, I have a profound commitment to seeing that we overcome these issues. We good there? Okay. All right. I'm excited to share my vision and dedication to serving the people of Jackson County. I was raised in the Heritage community on my family's farm, where my wife, Jennifer, back there in the back, where we live. And I'm proud to call that place home. And we've called that home for 6 generations. And I'm a graduate of Jackson County High School. I graduated there in 2010. I continued my education by earning multiple degrees, ranging from construction to engineering, political science, sociology, and public administration. I worked in economic development and tourism at the Upper Cumberland Development District, mainly focusing on local projects. With my work at UCDD, it has taken me throughout the 14 counties that we serve. In that time, I've gotten to see the first-hand experience and see the struggles that these rural counties face, and unfortunately, Jackson County is one of those counties. I'm a proud member of Postman's Chapel Community Church, and my family has worshiped there for many generations. More recently, I have started attending the local church of the Nazarene with my wife since we married last September. My deep love for Jackson County and my passion for helping others drive me to offer my leadership and service to guide our county forward. Jackson County deserves strong, transparent leadership that listens, acts, and delivers results. And together, we can build a future that reflects our shared values and aspirations. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for those amazing introductions. Now we'll be moving on to our first set of questions. So we'll start in the order that we started with our introductions. And our first question is, what is one type of business you would choose not to bring into Jackson County, even if it created jobs, and why?
Yes, 1, 2. So, that's an interesting question.
Of course, you can't stop a business necessarily from coming in, but as far as seeking out a business, to not come into Jackson County, I think anything that, would harm the citizens of Jackson County, harm our values, harm, our way of life, there's all different things coming down the pipe now. The big thing in the news now are these data centers that you see. Obviously, they use a lot of power, and we've noticed from the ice storm, we sometimes have issues with that. So I think that also some of them use a lot of water, and so and you don't know what impact that has on our environment and different kind of things. So the short answer to that is just anything that harms the citizens of Jackson County and wouldn't adhere to our values.
Thank you, all right. Next question, or next candidate, I'm sorry.
Okay. Business that I would like to see come into Jackson County would be a landfill. I think it would hurt the water system and the land and what we're used to. So that would be one thing that I probably wouldn't like to see come into Jackson County.
I can tell you that I don't think there is one single business I would choose to deny thoughtful discussion and analysis of. And the reason why I say that is because it's a community decision, it's not mine. And I feel like my job as a leader of the county is to sit down with the county commissioners and the experts who understand how these things work. Similar to the other candidates, I would never stand behind something that would harm our community, harm the ecology, or harm the citizens. However, I would want to have a full analysis and a full discussion with all the key stakeholders involved before that decision would be something I would support or deny.
Thank you. All right.
That's it. Good? Okay.
Yeah.
This is something that we can all agree on. We don't want anything that harms the citizens of Jackson County or our environment, because Jackson County is beautiful. But for me and Mr. Lee, we both agree that data centers are potentially harmful. As we've recently seen that happened in Kentucky, a 1,200-acre generational farm turned down a $26 million offer from a data center, and they said that we would rather stay and feed a nation. I see that as something admirable. We are a largely farming community, and these data centers, they do draw large amounts of power, and our power grids are just not up to date to accommodate that, and they are mainly used for generating AI, and that also poses a threat not just for taking over our farmland to produce these centers, but the everyday entry-level jobs such as, fast food industry that we see with Taco Bell out in the Midwest, toying with the idea of, having completely AI run ordering systems.
All right, before we move to our next question, one thing that I forgot to mention before our first question is after each question, there will be 30 seconds for rebuttal. So if any of you would like to discuss anything that any of y'all have talked about previously, we'll have 30 seconds to do so. All right, moving on to our second question. In your first 90 days as county mayor, what headlines would you hope to see about your work?
So this may seem like a strange answer, but I would want the headline to be nothing about myself. I would want it to be about the great things that are happening in Jackson County. If you look right now, there are lots of great things that are going on in our county. especially through our young people. And so, at the end of 90 days, I would like to see that some hard work is paid off and that more great things are able to be talked about for our great county. Firmly believe we live in the best county in the state of Tennessee, and I think the more people see that, the better it is for us. So that would be my hope for a headline, all the great things happening in our county.
I agree with, I agree with Brian. My name not being in the headlines would be a good thing. It's not always, a popular spot to be. We have a lot of good things going on. Yeah, we're making a lot of progress. Whether you see it or not, even behind the scenes, I can show you there are things going on that most people are not aware of. We have companies that are seeking, options to come into different communities. There's a lot of that going on through the mayor's office. We have to have property, we have to have buildings, we have to have infrastructure for these places to come, and that's some things that we're missing right now in Jackson County is infrastructure. You gotta have sewer, you gotta have water, you gotta have electricity if you want these businesses to come in. I get plenty of emails every month of factories and companies looking to move into Tennessee. So, yeah. Like I said, I just don't my name say that on the paper.
Like the other candidates so far, I too am not going to be a big fan of a headline. However, I would love for good news to come out of Jackson County constantly. Whether it's coming because I'm in leadership or one of these other gentlemen is in leadership. Jackson County has great news ahead. My focus, when I get in on my first 90 days, is going to be to communicate with the staff and the other county commissioners. And that communication can result in an energy that will bring amazing things to Jackson County. And that would be my focus. Transparency is something that I am a huge fan of with the modern tools that we have today, with online resources, the new Jackson County website, which we're all very proud of. We'll be able to communicate with you in ways that we haven't before. Transparency will be another of my focuses in this first 90 days.
Next candidate.
Also agree that having your name out of the headlines is a good thing, but I would have, it's a hard thing to say that have positive headlines and in a newspaper. But it's hard to tell the people. But I think if I do become elected as next county mayor, that I would believe that I would love to see that the county is seeking after grants to improve our infrastructure. Plans underway for 24/7 urgent care facilities are in the development phase. And business recruitment is underway. I know they seem a long shot, but the first 90 days. But if you had known this, I didn't say myself or the title county mayor, that the county. And it takes the county. It takes a collaboration of everybody working together to get these things done.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our next question. With population growth and increased development, how will you balance responsible growth while protecting the character and quality of life in Jackson County?
So, growth is going to happen. We know that our state is very attractive to a lot of areas across the country that are moving in here. And our county is also attractive for various reasons. Our way of life is number one, our people. And so, I think balancing that becomes difficult because you want the growth, but you want smart growth to where we maintain what we hold dear as citizens of Jackson County. maintain that is through working with your different state and federal partners, your local county commission, your elected officials, and just, having a good plan as you go forward.
We are having a large amount of people moving into Jackson County. We're seeing a lot of growth. It's going to be up to the residents of Jackson County to help maintain what we're used to. The county commission, other agencies in the state, try not to change too quickly. It's going to come, and there's not a lot we can do about it. So we try to maintain what's dear to us during the process.
I think one of the key things for me that I feel is the most important way to preserve the culture and the character of this beautiful place is to engage the people who are here. I'm so grateful for you all that are here today in person and all those people watching online. But there's 12,000 people in this county, and we need every single voice in order to be able to represent you. All of us elected officials have to hear from everyone in order to understand what you want preserved and where it's important. In terms of ways that I feel that could be done, design standards that reflect local identity, existing structures that can be preserved, things that represent the cultural character of the community can be repeated. Engage citizens early and often, town halls where we talk about what's going on, what the next project is. Surveys that involve many, many more people than some of the recent surveys. We can support local businesses in agriculture. There's so many ways that we can preserve the character and the culture, but it involves all the people in the county, and I intend to engage everyone.
There's an old saying that goes, with growth comes change. Jackson County is growing, but not at a rapid rate like I think, let's say, Putnam County, where you can drive down a road and 6 months later, that road is completely unrecognizable. Jackson County has 3 big attractions: Cummins Falls, downtown Gainesville, and historic Greenville. Each offers unique, something unique for each age group and for different lifestyle of people. From the outdoor adventure to the shopping, foodie, and for the festive and historic. Each of these divisions of Jackson County is felt like the 3 grand divisions between the two. We offer a little bit of everything, a little bit of everything in between. That is what attracts people to our area, whether it's the visitors to move here. And those efforts that support those areas, that helps preserve our culture here in Jackson County.
Thank you. Moving on to our 4th question. Politics can sometimes become negative. What is one positive quality you can share about each of your opponents in this race?
So, as Jim mentioned, I've worked with Jim for the last 10 years, but so I know him a lot better than Jonathan and Miss Aurora. I've got to meet them in different places on the campaign trail, but I think the one positive thing really applies to all of them, and I think that all of them up here want what is best for Jackson County. And it's just the job of the voters to decide who they feel can best carry that out. But I think that's one positive quality is they've all stuck their neck out to run. It's not easy, and like Jim mentioned, you don't make everybody happy, and everybody's not going to be happy. But they have thrown their hat in, and I think that's commendable.
Excuse me, I'm Brian. I've known Brian for 10 years, working in the Jackson County Fairgrounds. The other 2 I've met since the campaign started. I have nothing bad to say about anybody else here.
Well, this may be a 3-minute answer instead of a minute and 30 seconds. I can tell you all that these two gentlemen up here I've had detailed conversations with about questions, because I'm the person who hasn't been on the commission for very long. I had a conversation with Mr. Goodwin about how excited I was to see somebody young representing local elected officials here in Jackson County. And I want to tell you all that I could go on and on and on about the stewardship that these gentlemen here are representing for Jackson County. Y'all need to be so proud. We are all making a sacrifice. Brian and I had a brief conversation the other day in Granville when we ran into each other, and he mentioned to me, yeah, it's tough being on a campaign trail. You sacrifice a lot for what's going on at home with your family. Jim and I have had many conversations about the amount of hours it takes to answer email. So, bottom line, I can never say a bad thing, and I could go on and on and on about how great these guys are.
Yes, while things can get messy out in the world, here in Jackson County, we are neighbors. And at the end of the day, we're going to shake hands, say good job, and still call each other friends. And at the end of the day, I'm sure that's what we can still call each other. And that's what Jackson County is. It's something we should all be proud of. That we don't allow that ugliness and hatefulness try to ruin our lives because of politics. And each one of them has different backgrounds and qualities that would make great leaders. And unfortunately, we are all in each other. But at the end of the day, we can shake hands and say good job for them.
Moving on to our fifth question. What is the most important issue facing Jackson County right now, and what is your plan to address it? What is the most important issue facing Jackson County right now, and what is your plan to address it?
I think kind of been mentioned, the growth that's coming creates some problems that come with it. And I think one of the areas that is an issue that, if you get on social media, you'll all agree with me, this solid waste is an issue that you don't really think about on a day-to-day basis, but we've got more and more folks that are moving in. That puts pressure on those dump sites and those folks that are working there. And so I think that's an issue that going forward that needs to be addressed. There's some things that we can look at as far as increasing the number of cans, maybe switching to a different type of system that makes it more efficient for the amount of space that we have. And so that would be some of the things that I would look at.
We have a lot of things that need to be addressed in Jackson County. Healthcare is one of them. People are looking for countries to come in. We've got to work on infrastructure. A lot of what we have in place right now has been here for years and years and years, and it's not keeping up with the growth we have going on. We're looking at funding. I can tell you budget, being on the budget thing, it takes quite a bit of time to work through a budget and try to keep taxes where they're at. We just went through a reappraisal, which created a lot of issues with the public. What we will adjust, the state will adjust the tax rate to accommodate what we've grown, or we've had growth as far as what property values are. So there's a lot of issues that we need to work on. It takes the county court, the public, and everybody to help address these issues. Biggest thing, I'm going to ask y'all to get involved. We need people to get involved and let us know what you want to see.
about in the street is your personal water bill. Apparently, we've got some problems with water infrastructure. I believe that that is something that I would want to look at right away as an emergent thing that affects individuals and individual budgets in the county and the community. As far as the list of other things, there's so many big items that we need to address, which the candidates have already discussed some of them. So it's tough to pinpoint one single item, but on a broad stroke, I would say one of the key things that we need here in Jackson County is increased revenue in order that we can support growth in local government, in order that we can support grants that would be coming in order that we can hire local people to do the infrastructural work that'll raise the bar for everybody financially and economically in the county. That's a broad stroke. There's specific, and like Jim Morgan's statement, we need your engagement. We need to hear from everybody in the county to meet your needs. Thanks.
Well, like what Ms. Wallace said, it's hard to pinpoint just one issue, because there's a lot of small issues that can snowball into pretty big issues. The water infrastructure issues, the road infrastructure issues, to the building infrastructure issues, to road issues, or solid waste issues. Our growth that puts a strain on our police and first responders, our volunteer firefighters, everything. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint one thing, but coming together as a community to try to show on these solutions. And for water, that seems to be a good thing, because recently the third community was where our water comes out of Overton County. We were bowling for over a week, and that was a big one. That was one main reason for the problem. So we need to work on our water.
Our sixth question is, how will you prioritize spending and manage the county budget while still meeting community needs?
So, we have spending or revenues that come in. As Jim will tell you, the budget committee over the past 8-10 years has really operated on a very sound, fiscally responsible method of budgeting. We take what revenues come in and we very conservatively budget that, because we feel like each dollar that comes in, we try to treat it like our own, and try to make it to where that we get the most bang for the buck without impacting our Jackson County taxpayers as much as possible. And so with spending, of course, if you let someone, there's things that we need, but we have to prioritize what is the most bang for our buck with what revenues we have coming in. Thank you.
Working on the budget committee, we can only spend what we bring in. We rely on grant money, but even with grant money, a lot of times there's matching money that goes along with that. We may owe 5%, we may owe 10%, with grants that come in. With grants, there's a lot of work that goes along with it, reporting to the state and people where the grant money is coming from. We've received a lot of grants. We get so much money that comes in, a lot of it's property tax, and now we're getting a portion of sales tax, which is helping us offset some of the expenditures we've had. It's not easy. We have comptrollers that make sure our budget balances so we can there's certain things in the county that we have to offer. Sheriff Department's one of them, the library is one of them, and solid waste. So it's real hard to balance the budget in that.
One of the key ways to be able to continue the fiscal discipline that has already been performed by those in the budget committee for Jackson County is to do audit transparency. And the comptroller from the state of Tennessee has had some issues and found parts of the audit that there were findings saying that we've got no problem. And they've recommended a central accounting system. That doesn't have a negative impact on the fiscal discipline that has been displayed by Jackson County. I want to make that clear. As far as ways to figure out how to grow and still protect taxpayers, I believe that shared services and regional partnerships, collaborating with neighboring counties or cities to reduce duplicated services is an opportunity. I also believe that long-term capital planning, in other words, mapping out 5 to 10 years of infrastructure needs to prevent sudden tax hikes or emergency repairs, would be important to the community. Thank you.
So, local governments must be able to raise enough revenue for the services their county needs fairly and in a way that is consistent. Unfortunately, local government revenue systems face problems. The way they are currently set up is not aligned with the current economic realities. This contributes to distortions in the economy. How the state actually allows local governments to actually earn the county. While property tax is the main revenue for the county, sales tax is an important revenue. A few years ago, the state of Tennessee passed laws saying that online sales tax can be kept in the county with the items was purchased instead of where the items was purchased from. So that helped our county out tremendously during the start of COVID in 2020, and especially when everybody was buying everything online. So this helped our county out tremendously. I believe that an outdated system can only increase vulnerability in economic downturns. The demand for public services does not change with the
All right, moving on. What specific steps will you take to improve quality of life for families, students, and seniors in Jackson County?
So I think partnering with our, our funds as a local area are limited. So we rely on help from state and federal representatives. So, there's partnerships that we need to have and develop and foster to move those along, especially for our students. We are getting ready to open a new TCAP building, so there's lots of things that are coming down the pike in that way. There's other areas, our seniors, obviously, I know there's lots of concerns there on a fixed budget, and just like when things go up for us at home, they go up for the county too, and so managing that is important. So doing anything that we can to help our citizens and to maximize every bit of revenue that we have coming in is very important. And so, I think starting with our students and going from our students all the way up through our seniors is important.
As far as trying to help the residents in Jackson County, we need to be smart with our money as best we can. Make sure we're spending it on things that are improving. Some things are just a little bit harder than, out of our reach, without help, and trying to bring in help. Just a difference on, that's a good question, that's really trying to answer.
As the mayor, one of your most important jobs is to go out there and look for grant funding, which often involves representation at the state and federal level, to engage with those folks and make sure that we get the support that we need. Another role that I feel like could be something that our mayor could engage in is looking toward our nonprofit organizations here and maybe outside of Jackson County as partners in a public-private partnership. For the mayor to go out and ask for these more fortunate folks to support local citizens in the form of perhaps fundraising for a shelter. Ways that we can bring revenue into the county that we haven't tried before, or that may not have had pathways that we could get to. These are the things that I would like to bring to the county.
So as county mayor, one of the top priorities is to ensure the quality of life of its citizens. So many of you have heard me talk about certificate of need loss, and that's been our main hurdle that has been sealed for the past 50 years of acquiring adequate health care to rural communities. And with the recent involvement in like the legislature, there's been laws that have recently passed to move some of these certificate of need laws out of our way so that we can actually get some form of adequate health care to our rural counties, such as Jackson County. And one of those is acute health care. Now, what is acute health care? Now, that is something like a 24/7 care facility. And that will help not only the residents' quality of life and the seniors' quality of life, we will also help bring in manufacturing because they require some type of 24/7 care facility within a certain radius miles. And this will also protect and be beneficial for the youth and out of the schools.
Moving on to our next question. How will you work with state leaders to ensure Jackson County has a voice where decisions are made that affect funding and programs?
So I think that's a very important thing to be able to do, and so you have to be able to engage with all different types. You have to know what your vision for Jackson County is. You have to be able to articulate that to them. We're, especially in our representative in the 40th district, we're probably the smallest in population in that. So sometimes it may seem like our voice is not necessarily heard as much, but it's important for our citizens that we do have that voice. And so having that relationship with Representative Hale, which I do through the school and through the commission, and also Senator Bailey, is going to be important to get them on board and back to helping Jackson County as much as possible.
Yes, sir. How will you work with state leaders to ensure Jackson County has a voice when decisions are made that affect funding and programs?
I think the national, in the last year or so, have meet with legislators to express the interest that Jackson County has in trying to get funding for things that we have. The legislation, I watched what legislation comes through. Matter of fact, I put on the computer today watching the closeout legislation for this year to see what's been going on. It's important to give them feedback on what I hear from the people of Jackson County so that they can make an informed decision for best of them.
Relationships are the most important part of making deals and getting help. And those relationships that you have with those state officials are gonna be vital. As the mayor, you're setting a table in your community where you invite community members to come and sit at that table with you and tell you what they need, whether it's citizens, business owners, and the like. In the same way, state representatives set a table, and you've got to show up, and you've got to speak in a way that lets them know that you understand their position, you understand their challenges, and at the same time, you can express clearly what the challenges are for your small local community, Jackson County. I feel like I would be a great communicator, and I would be able to thrive in forging those relationships, and I look forward to that opportunity.
These relationships are important. Day one, you have these devices attached to your hand at all times. You need to have their numbers in your phone on day one. And you need to be calling them, emailing them, get on their nerves, and to make sure that you have what you need for your county and your citizens. You got them out to your county, go to Nashville, be there during legislation season, just be there, be that fly on the wall, be that nuisance squad, and in the good way, and just make sure that your voice is heard and that everybody's concerns. Get them in your county, show them what's wrong, show them this is what needs to be fixed. Tell them that we need your help.
Moving on to our next question. How will you ensure transparency and accountability in the mayor's office?
So I think, as far as the transparency, just being open, having an open door policy, posting the different things that are coming on the website is, they've done a good job of getting that up and going in the last couple of weeks. And, just having that accountability of, if the buck stops with us elected officials and being able to convey that to people and being able to listen to people, I think that's most important. We have 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. Being able to listen to people, listen to what their problems are. We may not always have the answer that right then, but we can work on a solution together.
We've been working on transparency. We've got the website that just started here in the last week. Things are being posted on there, the agenda's gonna be on there, the minutes are gonna be on there. Committee meetings, we have the committees, the commissioners are on committees, the members of those committees are published on there, they went on there today. This is a work in progress, it's gonna take us a while to get it to the country. Also, I'm in the office a whole lot, so if you have questions, please come in and ask. I'm glad to have an open door policy, please come in, I'll answer the best I can. I try to be honest and upfront with what's going on in the county and how we're spending money. But there's a lot going on, a lot more than what the public realizes in the office every day. We get a lot of phone calls, it seems like we're supposed to be the one to answer every question that comes in, and despite what most people think, I'm not the boss of everybody in the county. Elected officials answer to themselves, basically, they don't answer to the mayor. We try to be transparent, a lot of times it doesn't seem that way, but most of our records are open. You can come by and look and see for yourself what's going on.
As I spoke about transparency earlier, I agree with all of the statements that have been made so far. Putting things online that you guys have questions about will make it easier for all of us. If you can go to a website and look for the answer yourself, that will make one less question I have to answer on the phone. However, if you want to call me, I, of course, will be available. I believe in setting office hours that are predictable, that are published, so that if anybody's got a problem and they want to come and see me in person, they'll know exactly what day and what time I'll be there, and I would update those hours on a regular basis on the website, so that you all will know when you can find me in person and when you can find me available on the phone. There's so many ways for the transparency to be available. One of them is results from any sort of a meeting that we have. Those things could be posted online. Now, we have to have staff availability to do that. So these are all considerations that in those first 90 days, I would be looking into to find out what's the best way to get you all answers before you even ask a question.
Yes, the website is easy and it's a step in the right direction. Has everything available to you, including the videos to every week. And there is still more that we can do. Being open and transparent, being able to speak to everybody, being available to everybody. Having debates such as this, you know, that's another step in the right direction. Being able to be available to the people, having, you know, given them the numbers, seeing someone out on the street or at a community event or anything. I've answered phone calls, text messages, answered people online, email, everything. All hours of the day and night. I would talk to people for over an hour on the phone. So just being able to see the people and being transparent. I know that there's being recorded, but I know my wife will love it. Being wrong, I know I've been wrong before. So, you know, things are foul if we are wrong.
Moving on to our next question. Why are you the best choice to lead Jackson County over the next 4 years?
I feel like I'm the best choice because of my varied leadership experience. You know, my serving started early, working to help raise money to put water down my grandma's road. At an early age, leadership abilities and leadership positions in the church, where I grew up, and then on into graduation and starting my teaching career, and then into administration, leading 40-something adults on a daily basis, all with different opinions and different things, plus 280 parents who think and want the best for what their kids have as well as I do. And so you have to balance a lot of things doing those things. And then also my tenures on the commission. There's a lot, local government works very different than the private sector. It's a completely different way of doing things sometimes. And so I think that all those varied experiences together is what makes me the best choice to lead and lead in a positive way and trying to get all of the elected officials on board so that we're all pulling in the same direction and doing what's best for Jackson.
My background as a department head for 25 years. I've worked on county budgets. I've helped with bid processing, been involved with that. The county commission has also helped me. Being in the mayor's office, I thought I knew a whole lot about what was going on in the county as county commissioner until I became mayor. And then I found out I didn't know near as much as I thought I did. We end up with a lot of problems. We get a lot of phone calls. A lot of it just simple. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to contact? My background in emergency services is perfect for what I deal with on a daily basis. We get phone calls in the mayor's office. My lights don't work. It's not all this financing and things like this. I have to run, basically take care of a lot of the maintenance for the county buildings that we have going on. This toilet doesn't work. Like I said, it's not all money, it's not all tax
it seems to me that this mayoral job in Jackson County will definitely be like a three-ring circus, and I'm gonna have to be a really great juggler. And I feel like I'm best suited for that role because I've been doing that throughout my career in Southwest Florida. I have run multi-entity financial structures in the form of nonprofit organizations that were tied together financially. I had to deal with insurances at a zoo that were expiring because of a transition from a for-profit organization to a nonprofit organization. I've had to lead teams, enforce accountability, align competing and very diverse interests toward common goals. In doing so, you're faced with a lot of listening. You're faced with a lot of relationship building. You're faced with a lot of trying to figure out what is the best solution to meet the common interests of everyone involved. And through my financial work, I've been able to do that multiple times. So I feel very confident that I would be a great leader for Jackson County.
Throughout my youth, I participated in the Jackson County Youth Leadership Programs, and there, at a young age, it helped develop effective leadership skills that I tend to use for my role in public service. I have volunteered as a mentor to our high school seniors through the Tennessee Achieve and the Tennessee Promise scholarship programs for the past 5 years. These students make a transition from the high school to post-secondary education institutes, from either technical colleges to four-year universities. In my professional work, I have conducted meetings with multiple chamber directors, held community-involved meetings with chamber directors, county leaders, business owners, and local stakeholders, skills that are directly transferable to the office of county mayor. My leadership style is inclusive and transparent. I believe in listening to different perspectives, foster collaboration, and make data-driven decisions that benefit everyone in Jackson County. These experiences have prepared me to lead Jackson County with integrity and vision. This is why I believe I'm the best choice for mayor of Jackson County.
Before we move on to audience questions, I've been given the opportunity to ask one question. As a lifelong resident of Jackson County and as someone planning my future in agricultural communications, how will you ensure that my generation has access to good jobs and career opportunities right here in Jackson County?
So, first, thank you for doing this tonight. It's very much appreciated. It makes all us educators in the building proud to see one of our own doing this, and so I appreciate that. I couldn't be more proud of our school system and what we do. I believe firmly we do more with less than anybody. And I know that our leadership, from Mr. Hardy on down, especially at the high school level to our elementary schools to our middle schools, we're doing the best we can to prepare students for that. And it's seeking out those opportunities. We've got the young farmers and ranchers that started in Jackson County that's growing. We've got things through the school system. Mr. Cross is starting a farm over there. TCAP building's getting ready to open with numerous options that are going to be over there. There's also been some folks reach out about some opportunities for aeronautics things to utilize our airport further. So there's lots of options coming down, and in this global world, we're able to offer more for our students every day. And so we look, they're our future, and I'm proud of them.
I think we need to be very proud of what's happening in our schools today. We're one of the smallest counties in the state, and yet we're achieving things that some of the larger schools are not achieving. I think we're doing very well. I'm proud of the superintendent of schools and what the school system has done in Jackson County. I think we need to look for opportunities to bring in more The TCAT has been a big plus here in the last few years with what we're allowed to do. It's expanding some. I just think we need to look for more opportunities to bring more in to train our young people.
I feel so proud to have been a product of the Jackson County school system. I got to travel the world. I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I've seen things that I never imagined possible when I was 11 years old and I left this place and ended up back in Florida. I can tell you that my commitment to the young people of this community is so incredibly ingrained in who I am as an individual. The education that I received here served me in ways that I cannot thank the community enough for. And I would want to offer that to every generation moving forward, and I would look toward any opportunity. There's a huge world out there of growing technologies that we don't all understand, that we have to be careful with and mindful with. And our younger folks need to be a part of the decision-making and a part of understanding with us what is best for the future of Jackson County. I would encourage that in the school systems supporting all these programs, and I am so proud of Jackson County and will continue to make efforts to make everyone moving forward be proud as well.
I know some of you probably haven't asked this before, if you could go back to school and do it over again, would you? But for me, seeing what's going on in Jackson County, I know I would, because everything that's going on now, that's something to be proud of. And everything from the agriculture classes and the farm side to everything that Mr. Chapman is doing is truly amazing. And that is something to truly be proud of. And we have great educators that we truly need here. There's so much more that we can still do. As Mr. Lee mentioned, the young farmers and ranchers that are actually doing fundraising now to help the ag class, which is to raise funds to purchase agricultural books to put in our elementary schools to teach the young kids about agriculture, how farms are getting grown food, how plants are grown, and everything. So there's a lot of new things coming for Jackson County, and there's a lot of things that is already happening.
Thank you. Before we move, as you entered this evening, you were given the opportunity to write down questions. We won't be able to answer every question, but we will get to as many as possible. All questions will be shared with the candidates afterwards. David, please pull the first question.
Everyone, wait a minute, here we go. All right. Candidates, how do you intend on assisting and promoting tourism in the community?
So, tourism is obviously very important to our county. Over the last few years, our chamber has done a magnificent job of promoting our county. They partnered with Tennessee Tech and come up with Explore JCCN. And as Mr. Goodwin mentioned earlier in one of his answers, you've got Granville and the different options out there. You've got Cummins Falls and the options out there to see the natural beauty of Jackson County. And then you've got some top-rated restaurants in Gainesville on the Square. I put them up against any in the country. I love them. Just ask some of my faculty. I'll tell them all the time, you've got to go to Coin. It's one of my favorites. But also, we're getting ready to, start work in the next year or two, open the Cordell Hotel. And so, bringing those people into Jackson County, showing them what we've known our whole lives, and just extenuating that, partnering with the chamber. We have a new chamber director, Ms. Olivia. I think she's going to do a fantastic job. And Ms. Hope's still gonna be around to help, and so just partnering with them and, just continuing to promote our great county. Thank you.
We continue in the mayor's office to work on tourism. We have meetings often. We got a tourism grant. We're adding a boat dock and fishing wharf that's in place in Granville right now. It's up and going. We've been working on the park, the veteran park out there, updating it, cleaning it, putting some new equipment out there. I attend meetings, on tourism often. We've got a lot of things going with Jackson County. That's why a lot of people are moving. There's a lot of places that don't have what we have here. The nature, the bald eagles that you see there around Jackson County. We've got other things, projects going on, in Jackson County. We're working on a community center at the old Fox Road School. That's something we've been meeting on quite regularly. We're looking for funding for that. That's something, where they may have a YMCA and a library come in. And these things will make Jackson County more attractive than what it is right now. So hopefully we can bring more people and more interest in Jackson County.
Tourism is such a revenue generator, and I'm so excited that Jackson County has embraced it so firmly. I would want to continue that. I would want to pursue any sort of public-private partnerships that would also further that. We've got Airbnb cropping up in our county that will help generate revenue. I would encourage our community to continue to look toward that. Driving traffic in this area is a beautiful way of bringing revenue in that doesn't stick around in order to consume our infrastructure. Because of that, it allows us to grow and it allows us to prosper. So specific ways that I would encourage tourism is these public-private relationships with philanthropic interests that have moved into the community or have been here longstanding, to make them partners in the process of both supporting the local government and strengthening it, while also supporting their efforts to drive revenues for their local business.
Tourism is truly amazing thing. There's so much that you can do with it. And Jackson County is a prominent what you can do to coming falls, downtown against Grand. Like I said, it's a grand vision that, just represents the city. And there's a lot of new, I guess you would call it themed trails that are soon coming to be released. That highlights some of our businesses and our natural features throughout the county. Can't talk too much about that just yet. We've had a TV show called Wish You Were Here that highlighted a lot of those businesses and how part of the background and part of that. How that was well for children. And just being able to highlight Jackson County is truly amazing feature. And again, tourism is something that is something amazing that we can work with and be flexible with and be amazing things for your county.
All right, our next question.
Kim, how would you support the animal shelter that is in the plan stages right now?
So I know that's a hot topic in our county, and so obviously no one wants stray animals running around. I think just supporting them, it's a private group that's doing that, and so just being supportive, being available to them, being an open door, a sounding board, I don't think necessarily that it's something that the, county should, look to get involved in themselves, but helping them in any way, maybe, being an option for a grant partner or something of that nature, and just making sure that it's, all sides are heard, that the concerns of the community are heard along with, what we want, what's best for the animals and I know it's a drain sometimes on our law enforcement and having to respond to those calls, so hopefully we can take some of that off of them as well. So, just being a good community partner, being a good sounding board for them and working together as best we can.
With that, it is a problem. We have a lot of sprays. We have a lot of issues with dogs, cats being dropped off. Like Brian said, if we add it into the budget, then we're looking maybe at a cost increase. I don't know that the component is ready for that at this time. Look for funding, for the GM, but that's not something that you see coming down from the state level at this time as well. So it is an ongoing problem. It's something we're eventually going to have to deal with, probably more so than we are right now. Just not sure what the answer is. Probably need to educate ourselves more on the issues and the problems that we have with that.
I want to applaud the animal shelter for reaching out to each of the candidates, asking them questions. For those of you who don't participate on Facebook, all of the candidates were given a series of questions that we answered, and they posted it on their Facebook page. So if you get a chance to check that out, it would be great for you to review the answers that each of the candidates gave. I'm in full support of the animal shelter within the confines of what I can do as the mayor. Bringing consensus among commissioners is key to making big decisions about supporting any organization. Overall, I see nonprofit organizations as strategic partners, not just vendors. And certainly in an animal shelter is going to be a major part of public safety, which falls under the responsibilities and the duties of the local county mayor. While I can't affect law as the mayor, I can definitely encourage law enforcement to partner with any policies and any procedures that the animal shelter would feel would be helpful and efficient towards taking care of the many problems that we have.
It really is tragic that people are abandoned compared to dumb animals and leave them behind. And while there are laws in place that does protect them, at our county alone and our revenue stream, there's really not much that we can do. But there are grants available that could help foster adopt out these animals. If the problem goes on, it does become a public safety issue. And when there's a public safety issue, that becomes a concern to citizens, and that becomes an issue for the county mayor. And there are programs and grants available, and we just need to be available to help keep those grants back for the thing.
For our next question.
All right, candidates. I think all of us are going to be really interested in your answer on this one. How large of a property tax increase should we expect next year? Because I'm sure you know the exact number, each and every one.
So the answer to that question is, budget committee has not started meeting yet, but it shouldn't, we don't anticipate at this time a tax increase. I think there's been some confusion with the property reappraisal that's required by the state of Tennessee for us to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a property tax increase, and Mr. Morgan can attest to this. There's no one on the county commission that wants a property tax increase. And I think the way we budget and the way we work, I don't think that's something that will be coming down the pipe, unless something catastrophic happens, and I don't see that. So, I think we'll work hard to make sure we work within the confines of our budget and, go from there.
I agree. This year being a reappraisal year is a little bit different. The state will come in and adjust our property tax rate so that we're not making any more money than what we got last year. So chances are our tax rate will come down this year. I don't know how much that'll be, come from the state, and we'll see what we got. But it should be equal on the amount of money that we're able to work with. If we decide that we need a tax increase, then we have to be public hearings and things before that happens. But again, I don't see that happening unless there's something major happens that we're unaware of.
This topic of taxes, it's a rough one, because we're facing a lot of growth, and how do we go about not raising our taxes? Well, I feel like I have some answers to that, based on my experience in the communities where I've served before I've come back here to Jackson County. When growth happens and new members come to a community, there are tools that can be used that we can discuss in the commission to create situations in which that growth is required to pay for itself. Whether that new things like impact fees or agreements with developers, etc. These are ways in which we can increase our revenue without affecting people who have been here already. We can grandfather in tax rates currently and still raise revenue for people who are interested in coming here, which we're a very attractive place. I have no interest in raising taxes. I agree that the commissioners are not interested in raising taxes. I believe that there are ways in which we can prioritize higher value and low-cost development, and we can continue to use conservative revenue forecasting in order to avoid raising taxes for rent.
So I believe we can all agree that we don't taxes, but property values have gone up, and they've gone up everywhere. It's not just here. So the best way that I can explain it is that since our property values have gone up, the state sees that and they say, hold on, wait a minute, everything's not balanced out. So they come in, they work with us, and they need to lower the tax rate to make everything balanced and clear and sweet and everybody happy again. So the way I see it is that while property values are going up, our tax rate will be going. So essentially everything will become balanced out. So everyone's property tax will either be up or down a few dollars here or there. There's nothing too serious. We can aware of the courts and court cases and they've got for another day.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next question.
Candidates, UT Extension provides research-based guidance that many in our county rely on in agriculture, family, and consumer science in shaping our youth through 4-H programs. How will you incorporate their expertise into your decision-making to protect and expand their footprint in our community?
So I've worked over the past 24 years in various roles with the 4-H office. Started as a classroom teacher when Ms. Cynthia Zopp's coming in and working in our class, and then even as far back as when I was a student. Some of you that have been here a while remember Mr. Jackson Daniel and Ms. Fox that would come into our schools, and some great memories of the youth. On through as an administrator, allowing them to come in our building and work with us through the school side. they also do a great job with all their different programs that helping our farmers. I'm on the Ag Committee with the 4-H office of the commissioner, and so, it's something that's kind of out of sight, out of mind sometimes, but when you look at all of the things that they do for our county, they're the experts in the field, and they get to rely on the research that UT is doing. And so I think leveraging into that research that they have and the help that they have and partnering with them to help extend that and widen that footprint in Jackson County.
Agriculture in Jackson County has changed greatly. There used to be a lot of tobacco growing in Jackson County. You don't see that much. And a lot of the families have got out of the farm. We just don't see a lot of what we were used to seeing back when I was growing up. Don't miss a lot of it. With tobacco and hay and this. But they're a very important part of Jackson County and what happens as far as what they do with 4-H and the students and how they help the students grow and realize there's jobs in agriculture. And a lot of times you just have to do that.
I wanna make a nod to the 4-H group that brought Ava here today with us. The perfect example. It's a perfect example of how we partner with these really important organizations. Again, I'll say it again, these are strategic partners, and getting them more involved is key. And that footprint grows every time we have an event like this, or any sort of an event, whether it be agricultural or otherwise. There's a lot of opportunity with our land here, and a lot of people express concerns to me about, well, we're land rich, but cash poor. And how do we deal with that conflict of, well, we don't want to sell out, but we've got a large piece of land that we're not necessarily going to use. And I believe that all of these partnerships that were part of the question can be part of a greater project that we work towards using tools like community land trusts and community investment funds. It's a long topic that I can't answer now, but if anybody has any questions, I'd love to have a conversation.
First, I gotta say, Mr. Lee, you just made me feel old. Considering I'm the youngest candidate who's thrown that name twice, thank you, Mr. Jack. Thank you for that. I'm also a product of 4-H. I was involved with 4-H, like Ava here, she was involved with 4-H. So it truly is something that is generational. And it truly is great. They recently had an open house, and I stopped in for a visit, we have. And one of the young men that we worked with here was one of the camp counselors as well. And we were just, reminiscing about 4-H and the good times that we had going there. And, being a counselor there, just, the stories that continue on at 4-H. And the educational programs that they offer, going to the schools, everything that they do for not just the schools, but for our community as well. They truly are a tremendous organization. They mean their support, and just everybody's support.
Moving on to our next question.
As a resident of Jackson County myself, and I feel like most students are involved, how would you guys address the rise of Christian nationalism that's going on in our country?
So, first let me say I'm a Christian, first of all, and love America. And I want to say, as elected mayor, mayor for everybody, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on or how you feel about it. And, you know, we have to do as county mayor what wise man once told me, there's right, wrong, and legal, and always do what's legal. And so, you know, I want to stick to, first, what we can do as far as the legal side of things, but, you know, I think lifelong residents of Jackson County have a set of values, and I believe those are good values, and I believe those are important, and I believe that they should still be supported. And you know, we welcome people in, and we're hometown people. I can, you know, like we've mentioned, there's people moving in. I can remember the very first person that I moved in. I was in fourth grade at Dawson Branch, and a young man moved from California, and he had the jam shorts and the surfboard, and I thought I didn't know what world I was in. And so, but you know, just holding those values in Jackson County.
Could you repeat the question? I couldn't hear it because there.
Absolutely. Jim, what would you do about the rise of Christian nationalism here in Jackson County?
As mayor, you have to kind of be impartial with everything. It's not my job to decide one way or the other. It's a difficult position to be in as mayor and have to work through some of the situations that we're put in. I don't know what the best answer is to that, but we have to deal with all kinds and everything like this. So they have the right to do what they want as long as it's legal. And right now,
I think it all boils down to me for the separation between church and state. And I want to be very clear about what I mean by that. The bottom line for me is that the separation of church and state isn't anti-religion, it's pro-church independence. Our faith, community remain voluntary. They're authentic and they're mission-driven. My faith is something that is very deep and personal to me, and it is something that has come to me as a child, as I was a member of this Jackson County community. I too am a Christian. What I feel is most important in the halls of our local government is that the church remains separate, so that if you have a faith that you believe in and you practice, you have absolute freedom to do that, and it doesn't come and affect the policies in our local government. As long as we are able as a community to stick to that, there is no reason why we can't live in peace and harmony with each other.
While Christian values played a significant role in shaping the United States, influencing the beliefs of our founding fathers, and the development of key documents like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Our founding fathers had a variety of different religious backgrounds, but many of those were influenced by Christian moral teachings. While many were non-Orthodox Christians, their writings and speeches often reflected those Christian values. Personal feelings and personal beliefs tend to blend, and that's usually what causes one's judgment to become blinded. We live in America. We have the freedom to practice religion that is protected by the First Amendment, ensuring individuals can follow their faith without government interference, while maintaining government neutrality towards religion. Over my short years of voting compared to my opponents, I've noticed voting trends and how people or groups tend to vote. They usually tend to vote the same way or, different
moving on to our next question.
Okay. Candidate as mayor, would you commit to keeping the opioid settlement funds inside the county to be used by local organizations and not going to agencies from outside the county?
Repeat that?
Sure. As mayor, would you commit to keeping the opioid settlement fund inside the county to be used by local organizations and not going to agencies from outside of the county?
Yeah, over the past couple of years with the opioid settlements or opioid abatement money that's been coming in, I think for the most part, we've kept that within the county. We've looked for, different avenues to use that in. I know we have received Narcan at the schools at the request. If I request it from the mayor, he pulls that and gets that, because you in this day and time, you just don't know with the rise of vapes and whatnot in schools. You don't know what's in those, and so it's a safety thing that we have. Through the prevention partnership, they've had people come in and do trainings with us there. Ms. Nora can give you all the information on that. But yes, I would agree that it needs to, as much as possible, stay within Jackson County, help our citizens.
I can tell you, we're dealing with the opioid money. Right now, we have not spent any outside Jackson County. We have helped 3 organizations right now in Jackson County with the opioid money. They put in a request, we look at the request, and then we fund it if we possibly can. So right now, the money has stayed in Jackson County.
I mirror what the other candidates have said so far, and I would also go on to say that if the reason we are not spending it, if in fact that's the case, is because we haven't found a way to spend it that falls within the guidelines, I'd be willing to go out on a limb and say maybe we need to have people out in our community door to door to see if there are folks that need some help that maybe don't have the ability to ask for it, and that may be a way for us to use the funds within the county. But we definitely don't need any money walking out the door, so keeping those funds here is important.
While I'm not too familiar with these programs, but I believe keeping money in the county is important, and being able to help people is also important. And there is a dangerous opioid crisis sweeping across our nation. And it truly is tragic that what it is cause harm to our people across the nation, and being able to keep these funds here in our county and to be able to help people should be top priority for as county mayor.
Time for next question.
Candidates, what is your plan for the county's relationship with our emergency workers, EMS, jail, fire, deputy, and how will you help them with pay and equipment?
So I think, obviously our relationship with our emergency personnel, whether that be EMS, law, fire, or volunteer fire department, just doing as much as humanly possible, as much as we can to get them the things that they need to help our citizens, whether that's through grant money or, trying to think of creative ways to help them with needs that they have, which is, that's one thing I will say is over the past 10 years as a commissioner, anytime that a request is brought before the budget committee or commission as a whole, as it relates to emergency services, that takes top priority over some other requests that might come in. And so we always try to keep that in mind. And so just continuing to foster that relationship. I know a lot of them personally, and so just doing anything we can to help them.
With my background in emergency services, I can tell you firsthand, I'm very proud of the emergency services we have in Jackson County. worked with them close over the years. We have some of the best EMS sheriff department, fire department in the state. We received funding through CDBG grants, EMS just received one, and that went for equipment. They got new cops, heart monitors, and things like this. Also, with our department, kids who used the CDBG grant, we bought tankers and car trucks and stuff like this with money through grants like that. But I totally support emergency services in this county.
As Jim mentioned, those community development block grants, the CDBG grants that he speaks of, those are vital for making sure that we continue to support our EMS. One of the concerns that has come up many times, and I believe that we had a tax increase in order to cover some of this, was that the wages of those folks were not what they needed to be. And we have to look forward to how we're going to fund those increases so that we keep the talent and those that are committed to serving here locally. It would be a priority for me to consult with those people who understand what the future of that looks like, what their needs are, map out 5 and 10-year plans in order that we're thinking about it so that we don't get smacked with a tax increase because we just haven't planned enough ahead. And I think that's key and vital. Stacking grants, making sure you've made future plans for growth to come for all of those important public safety departments is a top priority.
We really do have a remarkable group of men who go out day in, day out, who put their lives on the line for us, to protect and serve us. And we need to make sure that they have the equipment that they need to go out and serve our communities. And there's one way, as everybody mentioned, we know that there's things available. We know how to do it. And we need to take care of those that take care of us. And we need to make sure that they have the competitive pay that they deserve. And if there is any pay raise, it needs to go to them before it goes to any politician. Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next question.
All right, candidates, what are your thoughts on the Fox Community Center project?
So, obviously, this is a very exciting thing for our county, kind of still in the early planning stages, but as most of you know, there was a survey that went out and had some good responses to that, and so I know that through that, that building means a lot to a lot of people in Jackson County because of its historical significance. A lot of you in this room went to school there, and so to see it being able to be a resource of the community again is exciting. Hopefully, everything continues to go as it needs to go to make sure that happens. I know there's some hurdles to go through still yet, but early returns are looking promising, and so it's an exciting thing.
We had some meetings today about the Fox Middle School. I know there has been some funding looked into and inquired about for that, depending on that particular project. A lot of it's happening. It could be a big thing that could bring something for our kids to do in the evening with the YMCA. Also, it would expand the library. Go with class society there. Very exciting time with things that are going on in Jackson County with the motel, with the restaurants coming in, and now we're looking at revitalizing the middle school into a YMCA and a library. I think it's a good time to be in Jackson County.
I, like many of you, have a very close relationship with that gym floor is in the front of my forehead and the back of my skull so many times I can't even go. So I know that a lot of you have such a warm feeling about the preservation of that building, and I'm really excited about the project. I'm gonna take it one step further and say, what a huge opportunity. Let's also do more. Let's also help support those who are working so hard to do this project by strengthening some other parts of how we serve our community. We should be looking forward to things like storm shelters, things like ways to improve our community centers, ways to further support our fire department, such that we have what we need in terms of structures and communities to help people when bad weather's coming, et cetera. I don't want to downplay the excitement that I feel about the Fox Community Center. It's a public-private partnership that is amazing, and the people involved are awesome. And the best way that we can say thank you to them is by raising the level of support that we offer our community in other ways by working on other projects as well.
That is really an incredible project for helping some people of Jackson County. Family along with town hall meeting, I took several notes, took pictures of all of that, plans for it, asked questions back over it. I know a lot of people have concerns about the funding, and as a public and private partnership, funding could be a lot of concerns. I know Congressman John Rose had said that he wanted to help us really for this project to decide that he wanted to see this project through. Just having the funding for this and the community involved, seeing that revitalization of old historic buildings be used for something new and something great for it, and something truly amazing. I believe the seed is first.
All right, we're gonna do one last question. I'm kind of gonna dig for it here. Yeah, that one's not in there, David.
I have it.
Okay.
All right. For our final question, the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury has reported reoccurring audit findings in Jackson County over multiple years and has recommended implementing a centralized county accounting system to strengthen internal controls in financial reporting. Do you support this recommendation? And if so, how would you approach a solution?
So I may have a different opinion than other people up here, but I don't support that recommendation, and here's the reason why. I've got 24 years of experience in our school system. Our school budget is the biggest part of our budget in the whole county by almost 3 times, maybe 4. The last several years anyway, there have been no audit findings within the school. So the danger you run of running a centralized accounting system is you slow that down. And so you risk damaging the major part of your budget with having a centralized system, because there's grants that come through that are very specific to those topics. And so if whoever is in that centralized accounting position is not aware of those, it runs into issues. I think the issues, if you go back and look at the audit findings and of what we had, there were fixable things. When I first took over as principal at Dawson Branch, we kept having a recurring finding in a county of lack of internal controls as far as segregation of duties. Sat down with my bookkeeper, we come up with a solution, we implemented that, We fixed that problem. That was then mirrored across the other parts of the county. And so, I think you can do that with the, mayor's office as well.
The problems we have, I would agree to see centralized financing, but it's going to create issues. Our budget is divided into three sections. You have the highway department, you have the school, and then you have county general, which is going on. This would bring all three of them in together. With that, you're going to have two departments give up control, but you're probably not willing to give up control at this time. So you're creating issues and things. As far as the audit side, part of that was because of things that happened in the mayor's office. We have, one of the reoccurring was over unfunded property. You wouldn't realize, we pay jurors to come when they serve for court. When they don't cash those small checks, it creates an issue in the mayor's office. That unfunded property has to be turned into the state because we don't have the staffing to go through and turn these things into the state have the timing for us if it occurs more than 2 years in a row. So a lot of this is dealing with staffing, and when you increase staff, you increase property staff. And that's what a lot of people don't want to see.
So I'm the new kid in terms of not knowing the details from the inside out from a budget perspective. And I have had conversations with Mr. Morgan about this in detail. I've had conversations with other commissioners about how this works. And I am absolutely convinced without a shadow of a doubt that there are modern accounting systems that would allow us to have the separation that Brian spoke about, to keep those systems running as efficiently and as correctly as they have been, and at the same time, centralized with regard to the mayor's office and that particular accounting system, all in one. Fund accounting is complicated. It's something that I've spent 30 years working in. It's possible, and I feel that it's the next step in the form of best practices that Jackson County can tackle that will serve us for generations moving forward.
And again, that leaves me as the young kid. So, but this particular issue comes up in our office. So, over the years, and Mr. Montgomery, he's our comptroller. He writes recommendations on how to fix these solutions, and he recommended implementing a centralized system. Now, as Mr. Lee explained, with creating that centralized system, it can create overlapping problems and departments become overlapped, budgeting and become messy. Now, as far as budgeting goes, the rules and regulations that everyone's following, they can see, and can see those in there. Now, it's not like balancing our checkbooks at home. We have a lot of state laws that we have to follow. And we've got to make sure that we follow those regulations to the T.
All right, now that all questions have been run through all of our candidates, we will now allow 3 minutes for each candidate for a closing statement.
We could just pull that question out earlier, and we got on. Closing statement, faith, family, community. That's who I am, that's me in a nutshell. I had somebody tell me before this, Brian, you just be Brian. So that's what I am, faith, family, community. Since I was raised up, that's the way my family was raised up, and that's the way I raised my family, and I couldn't be more proud. Again, I want to thank moderator and Ava for doing this. Thank all my family, friends, thank the community for coming out and showing some interest. It's important. important, and everybody's voice, can be heard. And, I promise to lead with positivity. I'm a big, you can ask some of my faculty back there, big positive energy guy. I believe, you can't be unthankful for things and think about things you're thankful for at the same time. Just try. You get worried, think about all the great things we have in Jackson County, and you can't think of bad things while you're also thinking of good things. So that's what we lead with at school. I promise to bring that, work together with our elected officials, with our sheriff and solid waste and schools and just community partners, businesses, chamber, all the things working together to take Jackson County into the future. I humbly ask for your vote, and I promise to work hard and do the best I can. And so, if you're not doing anything on May the 5th, I appreciate that check next to my name, and I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
I'm in a little different situation than this week, sitting up here with me. I have the job now. I was asked to do this after Randy Bailey passed away. I came into a difficult situation of not knowing where we're at. I'm very thankful for Randy. I tried to finish up some of the projects and stuff he was working on, and we've got that. We've got a new hangar at the airport that Randy was working on. We've had $3.7 million in water line that was started for their agency. I appreciate Randy very much. He's going to be a friend of mine. Didn't ask for this job. I thought I was retired. I didn't end up being retired. I ended up coming out of time. I do what I feel is best for the county. I'm not always there. There's the thing to be. It's a difficult job. It's a thankless job a lot of times. I get a lot of phone calls. I get a lot of feedback. Like I said, I do my best. I appreciate your consideration. Come election day. Thank you much for being here. And all I can do is to get involved. If you want to know what's going on, if you want to do what's best for Jackson County, get involved. Thank you.
I want to start by saying I am so incredibly thankful and grateful for the team of people that worked on this to make this happen. Carla Clark, make sure you thank her. This was a huge undertaking. I have no doubt in that, and I'm so glad that we all came out to participate. It's a refreshing opportunity to be able to express our opinions and also to listen to each other as candidates. I have a feeling that Randy Huddy has been very proud of this moment tonight, and I hope that we have more of it. I look forward to seeing you all on May 5th. I also look forward to seeing you all on August 5th. What I would say is that I would really appreciate your vote. But even if you don't vote for me, and especially for the folks that may not have attended here in person, I'm speaking to you out there also. Please show up to the polls. That's the one way that you can get involved that takes you just a few minutes. There will be early voting before the August election. There's early voting now until the 30th of April. You can stop in the election commission office, and it's a super easy process. I encourage everybody to participate. I also encourage everybody to come up to us, approach us. Call us, reach out on Facebook. Even if you're not happy, we want to hear from you. But that's not stand. I want to hear from everybody. I appreciate you all for being here. I'm so happy to be back in Jackson County. I'm so excited to serve in whatever way I can. We have such a bright future in front of us. Congratulations to all of you for this wonderful community and for all of the efforts that you've made to keep it authentic in Jackson County.
Again, thank you, Carla, for putting this event together and for hosting this event. Thank you, Dave, moderator. You have a bright future ahead of you. Thank you to Jackson Events for live streaming this event, for those who couldn't make it out. And thank you to my fellow candidates. Politics are hard, and, you know, not anything means people say we're keeping it nice, calm, and quiet. And that is very important, and I thank you for that. Tonight we didn't just debate policies, we debated the future of our county. What we will leave behind for the next generation of Jackson County takes place at the polls. This county has given me so much, and I believe it's my turn to give back. I believe in the power and strength of the community and the promise of a brighter future. You know, Ronald Reagan once said that America was a shining city on a hill, and I want to make Jackson County an example of what that shining city is. And together we can make Jackson County an even better place to live, work, raise a family, and I'd be honored to have your support and vote in this Republican primary election. Thank you for tonight. May God bless you, and may God bless Jackson County. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight. It's truly been such an honor. Thank you to our candidates. You all have done such an amazing job. And thank you to the community for coming out tonight. It really means a lot. Thank you.
I'd just like to take a few moments to say thank you to the friends of Jackson County Animal Shelter, the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, Anderson Upper Cumberland Funeral Home, Morrissey Creek College, and all volunteers and organizers of this event. Thank you guys so much.